Good morning, friends. I am Sushma Puri, author and founder of the Human Dharma, the right human way of living that helps one live a good life and enrich the whole. The Human Dharma is a book and a US based non profit religious organization. My book, The Human Dharma, is available on Amazon.com, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, and other bookstores. In continuity to my last book reading video, today I will read part of chapter 11, Om, the central truth of the human dharma. The third truth of Om. Om is the prime principle of living and its derivative right way of living. The third truth of Om. Om is the prime principle of living. Om is the prime principle of living. This is the third truth of Om, true for every entity and every being, including a human. Om is a Sanskrit word made of two letters, Aham and U. Aham means I and U means everything other than I, or the world outside me. Every entity in the universe primarily exists for its own survival and happiness, Aham, I. But somehow, in the process, it has to enrich its whole too, its U, the world outside that entity. This is the prime principle of living. No entity can survive without following this principle. The term aham, I, denotes an entity's basic self and its quest for survival and happiness. Every entity has an inner drive to survive. It strives to survive any way possible. And every entity, during the process of its movement, living, seeks happiness, consciously or unconsciously. It tries to do what makes it happy. The term U means everything other than I, or the world outside me. There is a vast world outside an entity in which it is born and in which it lives. An entity, by its very creation and living, is a part of this world, her whole, her U. An entity is a product of her whole. It is as if the whole creates an entity with a specific purpose to enrich the whole. The entity, during its movement, living, needs her U, her whole, the world outside it, and its resources, has to relate to it, and has to somehow enrich it. It cannot survive without doing this. Thus, Om is the prime principle of living. Examples of this principle can be seen around us everywhere in both non-living and living entities. Our sun moves in its own axis. By its constant movement, it produces immense heat and energy that keeps it going and by which it enriches its whole, gives sunshine, life and energy to its 8 planets, including our Earth. Our Earth, moves around the sun and on its own axis too. By its movement, it ensures its own survival and also nurtures the whole of life within its lap. The flora, entire plant life of the whole of life, functions, lives in a way so that it blooms and blossoms itself and also nourishes the entire fauna, all animals, living beings within it. Amid the, amid the fauna, a butterfly flies from one flower to the other, drinks its nectar, gets its food, and survives itself. While doing so, it pollinates the flowers and helps them to multiply and flourish. A roaming deer eats a fruit, walks off to a distant pasture, and excretes the fruit's seed. That seed germinates into a tree, blossoms, gives fruits. Thus, that deer, by his natural living, gets his food as well as enriches his whole too. Similarly, a human, a scientist, for example, by his natural living, by following his talent, works hard in some field of science, enjoys his work, earns his living, comes up with an important scientific discovery through which he enriches his human whole forever. Another human, a philosopher, for example, by living naturally, works hard in his field, writes important philosophical works, enjoys the process himself, and enriches his human whole forever. Thus, Om is the prime principle by which every entity in the universe moves or lives. Translating this principle of Om into a human's life means that I as a human, ought to live a good life myself and enrich my whole too. A good human life is a rich, healthy, happy, and meaningful life. A human's life, in keeping with human nature and intelligence, ought not to be a mere quest for survival and happiness, but ought to have a purpose, some meaning in it too. A human, like any other entity, is born in and is a part of the vast world around her. This is her U, the world outside her, her whole, of which she is an integral part. In my analysis of what is a human, in part 1, I traced 3 subwholes, worlds around a human that she is a part of. These 3 subwholes are the human whole, the whole of life, and the universe, which taken all together constitute a human's whole, the world outside a human, her U. A human is a creation of this whole, lives in this whole, and dies in this whole. A human is an inseparable part of each of these subwholes. First, a human is a part of her human whole, a human-made world in which she is born, lives, and dies. A human and her human whole in turn, are parts of a bigger whole, the whole of life. The whole of life is the vast earth, veiled inside its atmosphere with its flora and fauna, that nurtures the entire human whole in its lap. A human, like any other living being, is a product and part of the whole of life. The whole of life, the earth with its flora and fauna, in turn, is a part of the bigger whole, our solar system. Our earth moves around our sun, gets its sunshine, life, and energy from it. Our solar system is a part of our galaxy, with our sun moving around the center sun of our galaxy. Our galaxy is a part of the bigger whole, our cluster, with the center sun of our galaxy moving around the center sun of our cluster. Our cluster moves around the center sun of the supercluster. All of them all together forming the universe, where all stars and planets are moving around one center. The universe is like a constantly moving potter's wheel, moving around one center, creating new and new artifacts and throwing them in the hole. Our sun, our earth, an ant, a human, each and everything in the universe is a creation of this, created for a specific purpose, to enrich the whole. This fact gives meaning to a human's life on this earth, to enrich her whole by giving her very best to it. Thus, a human is a part of each sub-whole of her whole, the human whole, the whole of life, and the universe. A human, by her living and during her living, ought to enrich each of these sub-wholes. Next, we will see in detail how a human ought to live by Om, the prime principle of living, which is to live a good life herself and enrich her whole too. Thank you, friends. I hope you enjoyed my video. Please like it and subscribe if you did. Also, please share it. That will help me in spreading good teachings of the human dharma to all. Your comments and questions are welcome. Please join us on Facebook and Twitter. See you soon for my next video. Have a great day.